Director of Recruiting for Oklahoma State Cowboy football. And you guys have heard me mention his name quite often here. Everybody is just absolutely enthralled with not only the 2021 recruiting class and the guys that were signed that are coming in. A lot of them came in for spring football, made a big splash. Jaden Bray, the Green Twins, Lyric Rawls, Colin Oliver. These are all guys that were recruited under the organization and the work of Todd and his staff, as well as the Cowboy football staff with Coach Gundy and the coaches. Um, Things are going to change here pretty quick. We bring in Todd Bradford to talk about how things are changing. And Todd, good morning.
Good morning, Robert. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have you on. And I just want to give you a heads up. I just emailed you a story from the Athletic on NIL that it's just a bunch of questions and answers. But I thought, Todd may want to see this because this NIL business is gonna creep over into that recruiting a little bit. And I thought it was funny. The states that have already passed state NIL legislation that'll go into effect this summer in July, with the exception of New Mexico and Arizona. The others are Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Tennessee, um, somebody else over in the SEC region. But I'm
South
telling you, it's
Carolina.
all
Yep.
SEC states. Yeah.
Yeah. It's no matter what the NCAA tries to say, it's going to change recruiting. There's no question about it.
Well, before that's a future topic, although it's unfortunately
Okay.
an immediate future topic. Let's talk about what's going on. Things are going to change for you and your staff here pretty quick with June 1 since the pandemic, since spring football shut down in early March of 2020. Um, In-person recruiting shut down for Division 1. You recruited basically an entire class, the 2021 class, without any official visits. Um, and so far, now this 2022 class looks like they'll get to make their official visits this summer and into the fall. But talk about how you feel your staff did with no in-person recruiting, and what this is going to be like kicking it back into gear on June 1.
Well, obviously, we're excited to get guys back on campus and have a chance to show them all the great things of Oklahoma State and Stillwater and the Cowboy program, Cowboy culture. But yeah, so the last time we've had a player on campus was, I think, March 10th or 11th, somewhere around there, of 2020. I guess that would have been 2020, right? Yeah. So none of the guys that we've signed in the 2021 class were we able to bring in on an official visit. A few of those guys saw Oklahoma State prior to that March date when it got shut down, but not many of them. So it was an interesting deal. It was a tremendous job by Coach Gundy, by the assistant coaches, by the recruiting personnel that we have to, be able to find unique ways to show these kids Oklahoma State and to make them feel comfortable that they knew us and knew what they were getting themselves into. And it took a lot of hard work, but we're excited about the guys that we've that we've signed and that are already here on campus. The next crop will be here on June 7th, the rest of the 2021 signing class. The interesting thing is even guys that have signed national letter of intents had to visit campus on their own after they signed their national letter of intent, and we could not see them because of the interpretation of the COVID-19 dead period. So some of our 2021s have come on their own and visited campus after they've signed their national letter of intent. We were still not allowed to bring them in our building or see them in person. So we're excited to get the rest of the guys here, and we're excited starting June 1st. We have a big day planned on June 1st, and then just about every day moving forward in the month of June after that.
Yeah, I'm going to try and go in order, but there are so many things And folks, if you want to call in, 533-1020, 533-1051, 866-229-1020. And then I've got the TPT phone here in my hand. So if you want to text a question that you have for Todd Bradford, please um, please feel free, and I'll pass it along. Let's go back to 2021. Obviously, you guys did a tremendous job of navigating the lack of in person recruiting. That's an excellent class. You mentioned a good number of them, and I mentioned some of the names that were here for spring football. And the thing is, Todd, they made impact. We saw Jade Bray in the spring game. We saw John Paul Richardson, who I didn't mention his name, should have, in the spring game. Um, and then Colin Oliver is a guy that I know Jim Knowles and the defensive staff, they're so excited about him. Some guys in the secondary, like I mentioned Lyric Rawls, and I think Ty Williams was here. Um, but yeah, I mean, how proud are you and your staff of analysts for for what you guys have done, and like you said, some of the other guys, including the defensive tackle that I fell in love with in Thomas, Oklahoma. Um, the pride you guys have to take in that class, and how'd you do it? That's a pretty nice class.
Yeah, there's really a bunch of good players in there. We're really excited about them. And I think we had 11 guys come in for spring ball. And, it was great to have them here, number one, for the winter conditioning with Coach Glass. And then number two, to get a spring ball under their belt, really puts them ahead. It's fun to talk to them. I try to catch up with them after the first practice when their eyes are glazed over and their heads are spinning, and then talk to them after the spring game about what a difference it makes. If you think it'll help you during fall camp, they were all, of course, couldn't speak highly enough about how much it's going to help them. Then we have another 11 coming in on June the 7th, and they'll get started with Coach Glass. They'll get indoctrinated into Body by Glass, and get ready to go there. But it's we think it's a good class. A lot of credit goes to the kids that are in it. They're very good players, and they fit the Cowboy culture. They wanted to be a part of Coach Gundy's team and be a part of something special here at Oklahoma State, and kind of keep the ball rolling as far as winning and all those kinds of things. So it's a really great group of kids. They're really culture guys. They fit what we're looking for, but on top of that, they're really, really good players. So we're excited to have them, and looking forward to coaching them, and looking forward to getting the rest of the guys here.
And I promise, I am going to get to June 1 and what the plans are and camps and all that. But I wanted to ask you this from a personal standpoint. Coach Gundy has bragged a lot about the job you've done and the job you've done with the analysts and that they've done since you came on board. You're a former full-time, you've been here before as a full-time assistant coach. You know what it's like to be a coach on the road recruiting, what the Casey Dunns and the Charlie Dickies and Joe Bob Clements and Tim Duffy's and Dan Hammersmiths and what all those guys do. You know their role. But one thing I've noticed about you is you have embraced this role of being the in-house guy, of organizing all this, of working with the analysts. From the outside looking in, it's been impressive, and I get the sense you really get a lot of redeeming, accomplishment and feeling of, hey, you're contributing to this program from kind of your new role. Talk a little bit about that for Todd Bradford.
Yeah, so this is my first time to not be on the field, so obviously there was some adjustments there, but there's a couple things, Robert, that go along with that. I love being a Cowboy. I missed Oklahoma State when I wasn't here, and I'm grateful to Coach Gundy for giving me the opportunity to come back and be part of his staff again. And my family and I, felt like Cowboys the whole time we were gone. We're glad to be back where we can say, officially we're Cowboys. And the one thing that I thought when Coach Gundy and I first talking about the job was, if we in the recruiting department could make the jobs of our assistant coaches easier on the recruiting side, allow them to maximize the amount of time that they have coaching the players that they already have, and make them really efficient in the time that they're spending recruiting, because they're obviously very key. Kids want to play for certain guys. They have to love their position coach. We position recruit, and so guys are coming to play for that guy who is their position coach. But if we can make them really efficient, so the time they spend on that is having a big impact on the guys we're recruiting. That was my goal when we came in here. I'm fortunate that I have a bunch of really good guys who work for me. They're hungry to be very good. They're excited to be in the roles that they're in, and I think that's shown. And I think college football has changed a lot in the last 5 years in the recruiting world. I think that you see most programs that are in the Power 5 level are moving closer. Not exactly. It'll probably never be exactly like an NFL model, but they're moving closer to that model with coaching departments and personnel departments, and those departments working together to make sure that they have the best players on their team. So I'm excited to be here, excited to be a Cowboy, and anything that we can do to get good players here and to help us win, that's what we want to do. It's still, the end of the day, you still got to win the games on Saturdays, and everyone in the program, starting with Coach Gundy down to, I don't know, all the 200 people or whatever it is that work for Coach Gundy, everyone's goal is that when we line up on Saturdays, we beat who we're playing against and get us into those big games at the end of the year, and that's what we're all trying to do.
Todd Bradford with us, Director of Recruiting for Oklahoma State Cowboy football, and which is, like you mentioned, it's a different role than it's ever been, because college football and the recruiting process has changed quite a bit. I know, the graphic design people, Chris Deal and with CoachGundy.com and all of those folks assist you and the football staff in bringing in a class like the 2021. I know you can't mention any of the 2022 recruits, but there are 10 commitments, and right now Oklahoma State is considered to be, in the just outside the top 10, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there in ranking with this class that's actively being recruited right now. You've had a long time where the impression has been through communication, whether it's social media, graphics, whatever. And obviously you and the entire operation has done a great job of communicating through that vein. But now it goes back to in person. Do you expect, have you talked about a lot of things? Is it going to be are there going to be some differences when you get back to in-person recruiting, or is that going to be pretty much the same?
Well, I think there'll be some changes as we've seen things that have been effective in the virtual world of recruiting, things that kids have enjoyed or liked, or things that seem to have made an impact on them. We'll certainly want to try to keep those things incorporated. We're excited to, see what the kid actually looks like. There was a little stress when all those guys were rolling in here in January, and no one's ever seen them in person, what they were going to actually look like, and so it will be nice to see those guys in person. We have a few things that we're going to do a little different on our in-person visits this summer to kind of add to the excitement of Cowboy football and add to, their overall experience while they're here. But the number one thing that we try to tell kids all the time is it's not really it's everyone that we're recruiting against has nice stuff. They have big stadiums, they have nice weight rooms, they have, all those things. But this will give the kids a chance in person to get to know the people that are inside all those facilities and are really going to affect their lives over the next 4 or 5 years. The guys are going to be spending a lot of time with, or the people, because, we have the academic center and all the other areas as well. So Um, we're gonna throw some things in there that might be a little new. We're gonna try to hang on to some of the stuff that we thought was great during virtual recruiting, and then we're gonna do everything we can to give these kids an opportunity and their families to get to know Coach Gundy, the coaching staff, and all the people that are involved with the program.
I know you're really proud of those guys that work on the front line with you, the analysts, and there's some former Cowboy players that are included in there that really good football players that understand maybe what a recruit wants to see. Your experience, having been a coach for a long time, you certainly get that. Um, You've also got the camps that are coming up, and we haven't had camps in a year. That's somewhat changed. Now I noticed the roster of camps looks somewhat similar, um, but I imagine there'll be some changes in that too.
Yeah, sure. So, there's always ways to try to improve things, and we have, a bunch of guys here that have been at different places and have seen it done different ways, and so we've tweaked some of the camps. Again, the great thing about it is we get to see the kids in person. We get to coach them. We get to, rub shoulders with them and laugh and joke around, which is something that we didn't get to do the last year. So we're excited for the camps to get rolling. I think we have 6 or 7 on campus in June, along with a coaching clinic for high school coaches to get, we'd love to get the high school coaches back on our campus and talking football. And we just want we want to help these kids enjoy football, love football. We have a youth camp. We want, to get these youngsters that they love football early in their life, so they stick with it and give us guys to recruit here 10 years from now. So we do have the 4th graders coming in sometime in June as well, and looking forward to having all those guys around.
And again, if you want to see the camp schedule, you can go to the website. You can go to CoachGundy.com. I think all the OSU football social media sites on Twitter and so forth have the graphic and show the camps. We've mentioned them here. We did a story on the camp schedule on Pokes Report, so you can see that. You can see that there as well. But again. The crazy thing about this is things really you can sense things have really changed. And outside of the recruiting vein, which really makes it even more important that you find the right guys, is that transfer portal and that new rule about a free transfer. That makes it even, I think, more important that you find not only talented guys, but the guys that are the right fit to be at Oklahoma State, because it does no good if they come in for a year and the next year they're in the portal and gone.
Correct. The portal is, is a thing that's a beast right now, out of control. It's currently, in my opinion, not beneficial to the players. The way the recruiting rules are set up, the kids that are going in, they have nowhere to go, and most of them are not going anywhere. I think 12% of the FBS kids that went in the portal have matriculated into a new school. The percentage of them going to a place as good as they were is even less than that. You've had over 4,000 football players go into the portal in the last calendar year in all divisions, and I think less than 800 of them have found somewhere to go. What was thought to be really a boon for the players, I think, is not the case, and it's obviously not good for the universities that they're leaving, because you spend a lot of time recruiting those kids and getting them in there. And, you hate to see a guy leave your program. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out moving forward. But you're right. The number one thing now is you have to have guys that fit your program. You have to have guys that love being here. They chose Oklahoma State for the right reasons, and then you need to make sure that you surround them with the best people that you can, both from a staffing standpoint, which is one of Coach Gundy's strengths is making sure that we have the best of the best around them all the time, making sure that you surround them with all the facilities and everything that they need to be successful. And then of course you need to surround them with other good players so that they have a chance to have the success that they want to have in college.
Todd Bradford with us. One last question. This was from somebody in the audience or one of the listeners that mentioned the kicking situation. With Alex Hale having the ACL, it looks like he's on tap to return and be full speed. This summer into the fall. We saw what the kickers did in the spring game. Brady Pohl in particular was sensational. Wanted to know if there was a spot in the next recruiting class for a kicker or punter, and Tom is fairly young in eligibility as well. Tom Hutton, and I said I would ask.
Sure. So how specialists work on most teams is specialists have to come in and earn. We have spots designated on our roster in our number of 85 players that are on scholarship. That's the maximum number of guys you can have on scholarship. Most universities that play football at this level, including us, those guys have to come in and prove it in most instances. Rarely are they given a scholarship in high school. We will have spots available, but we have kids in the pipeline now that will continue to kind of work through that process of earning the job and becoming that guy and taking that scholarship. So MK, helps with recruiting on that, and we will, like I said, there's guys in the pipeline that, will work through the process of becoming a scholarship player on the team as a specialist. But that doesn't normally happen in high school. I'm trying to think I started coaching in 1985 or 6. I don't think I've never been on a staff that a high school kicker got a scholarship while he was still in high school. And I think that's kind of the norm around the country. But we do have guys that we are very confident in that are in the battle right now to earn one of those spots.
Todd, appreciate it again. Good luck. I know the summer, everything's going to speed up with the in-person factor coming back to recruiting, and I know you guys, you and your staff and the coaching staff are ramping up for it. So good luck, and appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Robert. Thanks for having me on. Go Pokes.
All right, Todd Bradford, Director of Recruiting for Oklahoma State Cowboy Football, and I'll echo Coach Gundy's comments.